said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman track storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter.
Never knew how strong I was. I never thought this would be my commute.
I figured I'd never get out of my hometown. Or be the one who stops an attack.
Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome into Behind the Helm. If you want to watch this show live, tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and we'll respond live. As always, find it, like it, share it, follow it. But if you want to watch the show after the fact, head on over to YouTube or on Facebook, where the shows are cataloged, and you can see all the comments and notes and still watch the show and any bonus content. If you just want to listen to the show, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, wherever you can find a podcast, and just search up Behind the Helm. Enjoy the show. Episode 79. You have to forgive me. The weather is, I'm a little mucusy today. But episode 79, the #1 military podcast in Indiana. If this is your first time here, hey, you're in for a treat. But if this is your 79th time here, thank you. Fields, I don't know if you're out there. And that's normally who it is, and my mom. We got some other people who will be coming in. I got to switch over to multi-stream so I make sure I watch for the comments. I always forget. But yeah, if you're out there, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bells, do the things, all the algorithmic things that help get this message out there, because even if this information isn't for you, it might help somebody else. You never know. Again, episode 79. So welcome in. We're here another Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always, live. I think I've got a couple of the kinks out, too. We're going to have a special guest, and we shouldn't get that double audio. So what are we talking about today? What are we going to be doing? Well, after you smash that like button, after you subscribe, after you share this feed, you're going to get the opportunity to meet, if you haven't the first time, a longtime listener, and one of our favorite guests is coming back on, and that's going to be Chief Jeremy Snyder, AOC type, which I'll bring in just a minute. But we're going to be talking about overseas. He's actually, if you read the description, serving overseas right now in a little place called Bahrain, or some say Bahrain, or however you want to say it. It's the Kingdom of Bahrain over in the Middle East. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So again, make sure you hit that like button. Thank you for tuning in. We're here. First episode of February 2nd. Can't believe it's already here. So in order to do this properly, so that we also don't get any double audio, I am going to actually be wearing headphones today. This should help. I'll mess up the hair. It's a problem. Oof. Jeez. All right, nice headphones. And then it makes it sound like I'm real echoey to myself, so that's fun. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our very special guest, and we'll make sure that he can hear us. Chief Snyder, are you there, sir?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, perfect. I can hear you. Look, I fixed it. Look at that. I Levec'd it.
No.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. Somebody comment if there's any double audio. There shouldn't be. We actually had time to do a good sound check. We recorded it, and I had to do it, like 3 or 4 times, and I think the last time we had it, but I forgot to record it, so that's cool. So you're looking good, man. You've been working out, sweating over there. Is it hot?
It was hot. It gets highs of 70s right now, low of 60s in the evening time.
Oh, jeez.
But July time frame is going to be unbearable, and probably in the 110s, 120s, it's going to be pretty hot.
Well, I mean, enjoy those 70s while you can. Christopher Harkins just gave us a like and is now following. Thank you, Chief Harkins, also somebody who's been on the show before. And looks like we have a comment in here on Facebook from another guest and somebody you know. That would be Slattery. Hi, Chief. Lafayette misses you.
Miss you guys too.
She's out there all by herself, and she actually had messaged me and said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be on. I think she's up at headquarters trying to get her computer fixed. I said, well, you have a phone. I had to give her a hard time. But so you've been on the show before, right? And in fact, you brought us, you shined this up for us. You brought us this round for the Eagle last time you were here. I don't know if you could see it very well. And that was off of a Hornet, right?
Yeah, that came out of an F-18. That was that round was shot during my 2015-2016 deployment over here in the Arabian Gulf. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. So you are originally an Indiana native. You graduated from Plymouth High School. Is that correct?
That is correct.
2004, if I remember correctly.
2005.
2005. All right. So I did graduate a year before you, but you've also been in the Navy like a lot longer than me. So you've been in the Navy how long?
It'll be 18 years on June 14th. So
18. That's a long time. It's a long time. You shooting for 20? I would assume so at this point, right?
Absolutely.
Have to, right? Have to.
Yeah. After that 10-year mark, you're kind of in it to win it. So
yeah, I'm coming up on 12. So I definitely
it goes by fast.
Definitely feeling that, and it does. And you originally joined. You're from there. Now you're an AOC, that's Aviation Ordnanceman, which we're gonna look at a short video here in a minute that kind of explains what that is. But did you originally come in as an AO? Is that what you chose at MEPS?
It was, yes. I came in contract as an AO, picked my rating at MEPS, and been one ever since. So it worked out.
I think me and you were joking about the video that we're going to watch. The person at the very beginning, what he says is just like, why? Why would you put that in the video? And I think they did it on purpose because I feel like there's like an animosity in the Navy towards AOs unless you're an AO, because it's easily like one of the most, like you got the CBs. The CBs are very prideful, but it's multiple rates. AOs are AOs, and AOs are probably one of the most like just prideful rate I've ever met. Like, I mean, would you agree with that? You think other people hate you because there's animosity because you're just so prideful of your rate?
I mean, we are definitely a tight knit group compared to some of the other ratings out there, and like the old saying goes, they hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because they ain't us. And there's a saying I feel like other people have tried to adopt it, and you can't. And that's AOS, which is an acronym that you guys like to bark, yell. And AOS stands for what?
Oh, you mean IOS?
Oh, yeah, sure. What? Yeah, IOS. There you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I won't say the last word, but basically, if you ain't ordnance, you ain't. And use your imagination for the last word.
S word. You ain't crap. It's definitely a very prideful rate, and what's weird is for somebody who's never been aviation myself, it's wild how many AOs I've met in my time. Whether it be in Virginia or just in recruiting, I've met a lot of AOs, and I think that it's kind of a bad rap. I don't think that you guys are like, I don't know, like there's always those sayings like, oh, they're dumb knuckle draggers. This. I'm like, not the ones I've met. It seems like all the ones I've met have been actually pretty intelligent guys. So, and gals, excuse me, people, sailors, toasters, whatever.
Yep.
So you started out, you didn't join directly after high school, right? You waited a little bit.
I actually joined right at the start of my senior year. I was actually in the delayed entry program for an entire year, almost to the day, before I went to boot camp. And after I graduated high school, about 2 weeks later, I was in boot camp at Great Lakes.
Yeah. What's weird is when I joined, I joined later, but man, I joined in April and I didn't ship to boot camp till December. Like I was in depth for it especially being somebody who's older. Most of the time you don't see that, I was in Deb for a long time too. So you went to boot camp, and then you go to your A school, which for AOs it's in Pensacola, correct?
Correct. It is in Pensacola with the rest of the aviation ratings.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think pretty much basically all of them are there, where you just learn your basic, your job, right? Your job at that point is to go to school and learn. But when it comes to AOs, there's two really main entities, right? So you have ship's company and you have squadron. Is that how you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, you have your ship's company, you have your squadron, you also have your station weapons, AO. But yeah.
So little Jeremy Snyder at the time, right? Because you were what, like all of 5 foot at the time or something like that.
A few inches.
Yeah. You get done with A school. Where was your first parent command? Where'd you go first?
So right after A school, I originally thought I was going to, because when you go to A school, you don't necessarily know 100% where you're going to end up. So based on a multitude of things while you're in A school will determine whether or not you get follow-on training, at least for us after A school. So for myself, I was fortunate enough to pick my first set of orders to a squadron in Virginia Beach, and those squadron orders required me to go to another weapons school, in which I had to go to Lemoore, California. So I went from Great Lakes to Pensacola, out to Lemoore, California, for a few months before I went to my first command in Virginia Beach.
Which was in Virginia. So you literally went Midwest, Florida, West Coast, East Coast, and I mean that time would have been in less than a year, right? Or
it was, yeah, right on a year. So I went to boot camp in June, and I was checked into my first command the first week of December that same year.
Wow. Like that's just, that's crazy. Like you literally went, almost 4 corners, of the United States in less than a year. You got to see that different stuff. So that's cool. So you're with a squadron. Now, squadron's a little different than ship's company, right? So you are attached basically to this squadron of aircraft. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, when you see a carrier and it's loaded with all these aircraft, when that carrier's in port, like those aircraft aren't there. They're at the airfield because they're still flying, doing their training, stuff like that. So with squadron, when they deploy, like when they go out to the ship, do you go with them, or do you stay at the airfield?
Yeah, so it depends. So if a ship's say just came out of a maintenance period, as we like to call it, if it's going out for a week or two to do some testing for the ship specifically, more times than not, the squadron, the air wing is not going to go out with the ship. But once the ship starts getting the qualifications and everything needed prior to deployment, that's when the air wing's going to start going out with the ship on underways, whether it's 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever the case may be, because the air wing also has to get qualified, just like the carrier does. And what we call a workup cycle. A workup cycle can last several months leading up to a deployment, wherever that may be.
Now, I'm going to pause for a second. Make sure you smash that like button. We're here, episode 79, talking about overseas with AOC, the one, the only Jeremy Snyder. Chief Hetberg has commented, said, "Hi, we miss you." But here's the big one. All right. You have this, when we kind of first met and we're kind of hanging out, you had a term for your family, your kids. You call them the herd, the Snyder herd, right?
The herd, yeah, all 4 of them.
So your wife says, "Hi, Daddy, we miss you." The kids are watching too. So I don't know if the "Hi, Daddy" is from the kids, or if that's what your wife calls you. If that's like a "Hi, Daddy," or if it was your wife saying "Hi, Daddy." I don't know, but I hope not, because the next comment is from your mom that says, "Dad and Mom are watching too." So,
oh, nice. Mom and Dad are down in Florida right now.
Yeah. So, Susan Snyder, that's your mom, I assume. Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. So from across the world. And speaking of, and I want to keep talking about you, but I did mention that you're in Bahrain. There's a massive time difference. Like when me and you were talking about this, we started 4 p.m. Eastern time here. What time is it there?
So right now it's a quarter after midnight here. It's Friday here right now. So
right. It's the next day and it's midnight. And I know when I said, hey, like, are you sure that's awfully late? You're like, yeah, I want to do it. Absolutely. And I appreciate you staying up late, just so the family knows he gets his proper sleep. And your wife did say it was the kids. It was not her saying daddy. It was the kids saying, hi, dad. So yeah, but he gets his proper sleep. He stayed up just for Behind the Helm, the #1 military podcast in Indiana. So, another Indiana native. You got to talk to him. All right. So you went to Virginia. You're with that squadron. And then I believe your next orders were pretty cool. The next place you went was to where?
Yeah, so after I finished in Virginia, I got orders to Fallon, Nevada, out to a Strike Fighter Wing Detachment, which is Top Gun.
Top Gun. I just watched Maverick again for like the third time the other day. You've seen it, right?
I've already watched it probably 10 times.
The new one. I thought they did a good job. I was worried about it. How are you going to bring that back? I thought they did a very good job with it. So how much, because we've talked about the old movie too, me and you, that movie and this movie, obviously you were there, what that would have been in the 2000s. Okay. First movie's from 86. Second movie just came out. Between the two movies, how much of that looked truthful to what that school is or what you saw while you were there?
I mean, a lot of the movies fabricated. I
Sure.
mean, for one, the real Top Gun doesn't take place in Miramar, California. It's in Fallon, Nevada, like we discussed earlier. The pilots typically don't act like that, like a bunch of,
What do you,
they have to Hollywood, for people to really enjoy it. But Top Gun was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of cool, cool stuff that goes on out there. A lot of, those maneuvers and stuff. You probably saw the scene where Maverick flew up in between the two planes.
Yeah,
that was not real. But all of the flying and the high angle and when they're flying over those mountains, that is all 100% real. So
you're telling me that lieutenants don't just like drive in their bomber jackets on their ninjas like down the runway as jets are taking off
with no helmet on?
Yeah. Shipmate, where's your safety belt? Did you charge it?
Especially into a Navy hangar and just park your personal bike in there. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, no big deal, right? He's an officer. It's fine. He's a lieutenant. Yeah. He's been in for at least 4 years. No big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not real.
It's still awesome, though. And I will tell you, like, I haven't been out there, but I know when I went to recruiting school, it's in Pensacola, and in Pensacola is the home of the Blue Angels, right? And the Blue Angels, they fly all the time to practice, and they do a lot of the, what you might call, like, I don't want to say risky maneuvers, but more of like the kind of cool looking maneuvers, and you get to see them practice that. And I don't care like how long you've been in the Navy, like, when they're doing that and you're seeing it and you feel it in your body, like you like as they go by and you hear it, like, man, like it's one of those like Navy pride moments. Like, God, man, like,
I've seen a Blue Angels demonstration more than I count on both hands, and it's still the same every time. It's still really exciting. I really enjoy it. We used to go to the air show at Oceana. My folks would come out and watch it. It was a lot of fun.
And then I'm gonna mess this up. I always mess up. Anna, Ona, right? Anna.
Yep, my oldest.
She's on. She said hello. This is Anna. So give a shout out to each one of your kids because they're watching, man. They're excited to see Dad.
Shout out to Anna, Matt, Reagan, and Evie. Dad loves you.
And misses you, which we're going to talk about in a minute, right? We're talking about this overseas. So you were at Top Gun. After Top Gun, you went where?
I went back to Virginia Beach. I went to another F-18 squadron. Okay. VFA 143, the Pukin Dogs.
Yeah, there's a good story behind that, and I believe we went into that. I'm going to encourage everybody to go back and watch the previous episode find it. because I will tell you, I'm pretty sure it's also just in the audio. I'm finally getting caught up with that. It's on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and it's going to renew in February again so that I can get hopefully completely caught up. But definitely, whether you watch on YouTube, Facebook, or you just listen to it, you just miss out on the bonus content if you listen to it, because I got to cut that. It's more visual. But yeah, we talked about how that came about. There's like an interesting story about that. And I would encourage you to go back and listen. So you were there. After that squadron, you went to where?
I went to the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. I went there for a year to fill a void. They needed a chief, so I went. Well, I didn't willfully go. The Navy told me you're going, so I went and spent about a year on the carrier as ship's company. Working on missile launchers and aircraft guns and stuff like that. So that was a pretty cool experience. It was different.
Yeah, you got the opportunity to see both squadron. Like not all AOs get to do that, right? Like you said, not necessarily willingly, but you had an opportunity to see both squadron side and then kind of see ship's company side of it too, and work in both sides. So that's kind of cool.
I did, yeah. It was interesting for sure.
Now,
good experiences, a lot of cool people. In
between the two, if you had to choose. Squadron, ship's company.
No slack in fighter attack.
So that means
squadron all the way.
This is Freedom Fighter, AOC, Jeremy Snyder. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to say it right. You got to say Freedom Fighter.
Freedom Fighter.
Always, every time I'd be around you, and your future sailors would call, "What's going on, Freedom Fighter?" Like, oh my God, this guy's
I call everybody Freedom Fighter out here too, but they don't get it. So
it's too good, man. All right, so you were a ship's company for a bit, and then after that, you went where?
I went to good old Intag Heartland.
Hey, you're on the Intag Heartland Facebook page as well. So previous recruiter, AOC Jeremy Snyder, out of Lafayette, which you were originally from Plymouth. So I would assume that you would have recruited then out of Kokomo, right? Like when you joined.
When I joined, there was a station in Warsaw.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't believe that station. I mean, I know the station's not a full-up station anymore, but I don't know if they still have the ability to have a station there.
It's a PTO. I think Tito used to work out of there a little bit. Yeah.
I didn't know if South Bend or anybody or Fort Wayne or anybody used that at all, but
South Bend. So Lafayette's a little bit farther from home because Plymouth is really kind of right up 31 past Kokomo, and right. Lafayette's kind of more over here. For those who know Indiana, I'm not going to really explain it, but just, Lafayette is well known, West Lafayette really, for Purdue University is where Purdue University is. So you were a recruiter there, started out there, and at this point you were already a chief, I believe, correct? You would.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'd already made chief. You were a recruiter here, and you got here and you witnessed the good times and the bad, right? You got to see both of that. You were somebody I confided in when I went through chief season, especially once I really got to know you. We realized, number one, we're both Bears fans. So of course, right? Which, by the way, I'm still rooting for the Bears to win the Super Bowl. So somebody asked me the other day, said, who do you want to win the Super Bowl? I said, the Chicago Bears. And they looked at me and they said, what are you talking about? Like, they're not playing. I don't care. That's who I want to win. So, they didn't quite get it. You also got another hello from Susan Minnick Smith said, hello, Jay.
Hey, Sue.
So, but yeah, you were here. We worked together. We got to do some cool things. In recruiting even, and I'm actually you'll be able to see it. I'm going to pull up a couple pictures real quick just of our time here. So you guys can see this picture here. Can you see that okay there, Chief?
I can, yeah. That was down at Lucas Oil.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Stadium. This is Chief Snyder right here. This is me with this creepy mustache down here on the end. And FC1 Cadwell. And these are some of our future sailors. And what were we down there for? Do you you remember what we got to do?
Yeah, it was really cool. We got to do, basically it was a mass enlistment ceremony for the state of Indiana. So it was really cool. You see all the future sailors there. Everybody was sworn in. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and there were all the branches there. So there are people with everybody. And what's crazy, I didn't even realize until this picture right here. You see this lady stand next to FC1 Cadwell. It was the first Space Force person any of us had ever met. She is a Space Force officer, and she was really nice, and it was really funny because I remember we asked her, like, so what do you do? And I believe her answer was nothing.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, that's right, because they were still like in the building phase of. That's right. She was like, I don't really know. But here's some of our future sailors, and the video's not great, but here's us. We're on the field, and then we did the enlistment, and we didn't know really that we were going to get the opportunity, but that's how close we are. There's Carson Wentz. We didn't know that we were going to get the opportunity to do the, we walked around and stuff, but the flag. So here we got to take the big giant flag out. And this was like week 16. This is pretty deep in the season. They were playing Oakland.
Yeah, they were playing
Las Vegas or whoever they were at the time. Las Vegas, I think.
I believe that was the last game that they played this season. That was their elimination game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to do that. We were right out on the field. That's my aunt and uncle. Let me get past this because it's also the game. I saved these because this is the game that or the week that
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, kind of lost his mind. So. But here you can see we were out on the field. It was a really big flag, and this picture is pointing at me. And I think you were 2 people down from me, up right past the stars, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure in relation to this picture what side we were on, but I know we were only a few people apart from each other.
Yeah, it was. So even in our time recruiting, like we got to do some stuff together, and we did some fun stuff. I think that was a really cool. Thing that we got to do and get to take our future sailors down there, and they had the opportunity to do that. So super cool, So recruiting has its ups and downs, just like everything else, right?
Sure.
But then your time came to an end, and you took some very interesting orders. So you had your family in Lafayette with you, but you guys you still had your home in Plymouth, right? I believe.
From Plymouth. My wife's staying up in Culver right now with the kids. Yeah, we decided not to bring the family out here. We did have the opportunity to, but being as it's still the Middle East, we just weren't that comfortable doing so.
So with that, I'm gonna pull up some pictures so people can see where this is at. But so what exactly were the orders that you took? Like what was it?
So my orders are to Commander U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. So basically, we're a command that falls under CENTCOM. So we answer directly to CENTCOM, which is in Tampa Bay, Florida. For those who don't know or have ever heard of CENTCOM, basically CENTCOM runs everything. And then NAVCENT, we operate in the 5th Fleet area of operations, which is in the Arabian Gulf area. They're in the Middle East, Southwest Asia area. So that's all NAVCENT for naval forces. So we're basically the.
Mm-hmm. And I've been to Bahrain. I came over in the Med. This picture, it might be tough for you to see, but you have to come past Egypt, down here through the Red Sea, past Yemen, past Oman, and then you got the UAE and Qatar here, and Saudi Arabia is real big, and you can see this little star here where it says Bahrain, and it doesn't do it justice because Bahrain is actually it's an island, more or less. Here you can see Qatar, and you can kind of see Bahrain. It's small island, and here is a better picture. So it is connected to Saudi Arabia. And it's in between, you got the Gulf of Bahrain and then the Persian Gulf, and it's in between Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So you took orders to go there, and you have been there since when?
I arrived in country the 8th of September of last year. So I've only been here for 4 months, roughly.
And the orders you took are, since you're unaccompanied, did that change the length of orders? I believe we talked about it. I don't really remember, though.
So my orders right now are 24 months.
24. 24-month unaccompanied orders. and you're over in Bahrain. You know, I know there's there's certain things you can't really talk about because of where it is. But kind of what's your job? If you had to break down your job, like what you're there, you personally, to kind of do in layman's terms, what does that look like?
So basically, in a nutshell, you know, the Navy has ships all over the world. You know, ships in the Mediterranean Sea, ships in the Pacific, wherever. So anytime we get, we don't deal with just ships specifically, but also certain ground forces and stuff over here in the AOR. But say, for instance, you know, I'm not going to say what ships or, you know, what kind of ships or how many ships we have over here currently, but say we have a destroyer out here. We coordinate with the destroyer, you know, anytime they have to use ordnance or they need more ordnance or anything like that, they coordinate with us and we help them with the logistical support to get it to them, to get them what they need. We support the warfighter basically.
Yeah.
So whether that's naval ground forces or ship.
Right. And I mean, same thing. Like I was on a destroyer, you know, we got to pull in there a few times. And it was, you know, there's a lot there, for being so small. And then the base that we have, you know, I love the movie theater. Like the movie theater was nice. And there's like a club and bar and stuff in there. And we get to go out and like kind of right off base. Obviously they kind of call it American Alley. There's very modernized. But you were also saying that, you know, you've been there multiple times and you were kind of noticing that it's really kind of getting a little even more so kind of westernized there.
It is. It seems like every time I've came over here, it's gotten more and more westernized. Like you go into a store, you know, they're a little bit behind on the music trend. You know, they're not. I'd say they're over here. They're probably a good 10 or so years behind on the music trend, but they really like our music. As far as restaurants, I mean, you know, you always have the local flavors, but like if you want like McDonald's, it's here. If you want Papa John's Pizza, Pizza Hut, they have Factory, TGI Fridays, you know, they have all that stuff here. So, in the shopping malls, most of the stores inside are American stores. Like
now, I'm trying to remember if it was when I was there or in Jabali. I went to, and you might be able to tell me, I went to this big mall and there was you know, you're in the desert. And there was a ski slope in the mall, which we weren't allowed to go on because of fear of people getting injured, being silly. Is that in Bahrain?
That is in Dubai. That's in the UAE.
Okay. Yeah, that's UAE. Okay, I couldn't remember which one. You know, I couldn't remember which it was, but I remember going in there because we ate at the restaurant where we could overlook it, and we're like watching everybody skiing, and it's like, you know, 110 degrees outside, and there are people like skiing on snow. It's like.
They're in there in full winter gear, throwing snowballs, building snowmen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. Aaron Shields, which is one of my future sailors who's out doing great sailor things now. He's an engineman, said afternoon, Chief. Afternoon, Shields. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Again, make sure you smash that like button. We're here with AOC Snyder, episode 79, talking about overseas. Make sure to subscribe, share this feed. So you're in Bahrain. You've been there for 4 months. You know, your family's back home here in Indiana as they're all, you know, they were all commenting, saying hi and shouting you out, which is great. You know, what is it? So let's talk about that a little bit. But before we do, I don't even think I'm going to show the AO video. Like, I feel like you kind of hit it on the head. And, I had like a video I was going to show about Bahrain, but I just feel like me and you can really just kind of talk about it. I mean, there's all kinds of videos you can watch about Bahrain and you can go watch the AO video. It's like a minute long, but we've seen it. And I think, you know, obviously we've talked like the Navy videos for the jobs are kind of, it's good information. It literally is what the job is, but it's also a very short, condensed, hey, commercial, you know. It doesn't show an AOC chief like chilling in his apartment in Bahrain. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's about as real as it gets right here. Shields said he finished ENA school, coming home one more time before he heads off to Norfolk, Virginia. So good luck to you, man. Make sure you get a hold of me when you get home, and we'll have to get together. I'd love to catch up with you. But so you're in Bahrain. You know, we've stayed in touch, obviously, through Facebook. So it's not like how was the transition for you? I mean, because you're not moving your entire family and your household goods. How did that transition look? Like just the transition process. How did that kind of work? What were the struggles or what was easy about it?
Well, I'd say at this point in my career, anytime you go, even at this point in my career, I should say, like anytime you go to a new place for an extended amount of time, there's always that little bit of culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'd been here before previously, it's something you never really get used to.
Right.
But like I said, I'd been here before, so I knew my way around the area a little bit just from remembering, and so it really wasn't too bad of a transition. Just missing the family. That's the big thing.
Oh yeah.
Thank God for Facebook and
right.
FaceTime and everything like that. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously like we're on Zoom right now. That I don't, it's over the internet. There's not really any, we're not experiencing any lag. It's pretty much straight ahead. It's not like that. I remember this wasn't even that long ago, but this was before I joined. I had a buddy who was stationed in Okinawa, and we didn't have video chat and stuff. And he called me a few times. Best friend from high school, and there was that delay on the phone. Like he would say something. Or you would say something, there'd be this pause before you would answer. So, I mean, the technology has come a long way for us to be able to communicate. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine doing this over dial-up?
Oh, my goodness.
If that's even possible.
Dial-up. What does ASL stand for? Remember?
What does what stand for?
That was my first internet was AOL, right?
Oh, AOL, yeah.
You get on the messenger, but... What when you would type in a chat ASL, you remember what that meant?
I do remember to an extent, but I don't.
Age, sex, location.
Oh man, the chat rooms.
Yeah. Oh, it's a girl, bro. Oh, she's from Indiana. Like, yeah, man. We had Slattery had it. She posted instantly, age, sex, location. Absolutely. People don't even know, man. That AIM messenger, man, like is you go find your next love. Speaking of like, with your family, your wife, like you guys met in a chat room, didn't you? Or was it, no, I'm just kidding. You guys went to high school together, right?
Went to different high schools. She went to Culver. I went to Plymouth, and yeah.
How did you guys meet? Like, were you already in the Navy or?
No, we met through one of my cousins and one of her cousins, and
that's so Indiana right there.
Isn't it though?
Our cousins introduced us, said you like him. But yeah, I mean, so that was long before you even joined. So I mean, you and your wife have been happily married for how long now?
14 years. It made 14 years in December. So
I should have preferenced that. I should have warned you before I asked you that in case you didn't know the answer, because I won't get you in trouble since like half your family's watching.
I have to keep on my toes. She keeps me on my toes all the time. So
actually, your wife said that you were at. She said you were at her baby shower before she was born.
Yeah.
You just gonna take it.
I'm not sure how that worked out, but I've heard that sometimes.
Yeah, I gotta admit too, your new haircut's looking good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, smooth. It's nice. Got a real good sheen on that. So you're over there. What would you say to somebody like what's transition wasn't bad. How was that time change though? Because like for me, as we're coming over on the ship, you're slowly getting that time change.
Right.
How did you fly straight over? How did that, or did you stop for a while or?
Yeah. So basically I was home on leave in Indiana. Mm-hmm. So my, in true Navy fashion, they couldn't fly me out of Indianapolis. They had to fly me out of Detroit.
Nice.
Because that's where headquarters was. But it all worked out. Flew from Detroit to Norfolk. Once I got to Norfolk, I stayed the night in Norfolk, went over to the military terminal, which I hopped on what was a rotator. They call it a rotator because it rotates from overseas flights back to the United States, transporting personnel, goods, supplies, whatever. But typically the rotator transports personnel. So after we left Norfolk, we flew from Norfolk to Rhodes, Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Landed in Spain, stayed a few hours there. And then after Spain, we flew to Bahrain.
So it was just one. Well, I mean, once you left the U.S., you just had one stop. So hopped the pond, went to Spain, then from Spain to Bahrain. What was the longest leg of that flight?
Definitely from Norfolk to
Spain.
Norfolk to, yeah, it was pretty long flight. I can't remember. I think it was over 10 hours.
Man, that's crazy.
And like you were saying, it's a little bit different going on a ship as you're going through the time zones, because, your time zone maybe every 2 days, on a plane over the course of, 48 hours.
Yeah.
You went through 8 time zones. So, your circadian rhythm, everything's thrown off. So it took about a month for my, for me personally to get into a rhythm. The sleep schedule and everything's kind of off. When you land, you're exhausted, but you kind of want to see what's going on.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm here, and then you're just like, oh, I'm exhausted. So you crash, and then slowly but surely, you get your sleep schedule on.
Now, I will say that when we were over there, we were pulled in at one point, and it was super hot. This was crazy. It rained, right? Because we always clean the ship, do freshwater wash down. You got to wash the salt off because it'll corrode, just like your car, salt from the road stuff. And a storm had rolled in, and there was a rainstorm. We're like, oh, perfect, right? Like, it's going to do the work for us. And after it rained, there were sand dunes, like little sand piles on the ship. And come to find out, we're like, what happened? But the sand and stuff is so fine over there that it literally will get picked up in the air, and then it gets caught in the rain. And so the raindrops that are falling are like, it's rain that's like full of this really fine sand. So as the sand would hit the ship and dry, it's leaving, or as the rain would, it was leaving sand behind. So then we still had to do the wash down to get the sand off. So I thought that was wild, because that sand is just, I mean, it gets everywhere.
It is very fine sand over here, and a lot of times during the day, you look outside, you're like, is it foggy out? But it's like, no, it's not fog. It's actually
the sand in the air. Yeah.
Air. So not too bad. I mean, it's sand. It's not going to hurt you, but if you're a little bit sensitive, allergies kind of might kick in a little bit, but it's really not too bad. And it's not sandy all the time.
Right. Well, and
most.
Yeah. And you're over there. Okay. And I think a big thing to take, so we're talking about what it's like serving overseas. So you're not on a ship, you're serving there. But like, obviously, like it looks like you're in an apartment or a house, or is it on base or off base? How does it? Every place is a little different. We've talked to Slattery about when she was in Spain. Obviously, she had a house out in town. I think Bahrain's a little different, though.
Yeah. So junior sailors. When I say junior sailors, E4 and below, they live on base because there is limited space. The base is only so big. So what they do is service members that are second class petty officers, or if you're in the Marine Corps, because we have Marines out here too, or sergeant of, are given a overseas housing allowance and a funds for utilities to live out in town. And those funds are based on the current economy and everything like that. So you can get a really nice, right, correct. So yeah, you basically you can pick any place that falls in your budget and be like, I want to move in here. And the base, the base, there's a process to it, but they make it pretty streamlined out here. The base housing office approves it, signs your paperwork off, and you get with your realtor and you move in. It's
so how far are you from work then?
I can actually look out my window and see part of the base right here. I wanted to be close to base.
Yeah, sure.
Just for the convenience factor. So I get up every morning and I take about a 15, 20-minute walk to work. It's pretty nice.
You just go ahead and walk to work. Yeah. So you don't
walk to work. You don't need a car. Some people have cars, but you don't need a car here. Ubers are pretty cheap here. Uber is very popular over here. But most of the places I go to, and when I say me, I mean with other people. Mostly everybody walks. So.
Yeah. So we're on episode 79. We're talking about overseas with AOC Chief Snyder, and he is currently stationed in the Kingdom of Bahrain, and that's where he's at right now. It's almost 1 a.m. and he's staying up late for us, so I appreciate it. So tell us, obviously, like I said, you're in a home, you're just living there. You're not deployed. It's not like a deployment, what people would think of, like you're stationed there. So it's not like go. You're living in like a thrown up shack or anything like that. You're living in a home, you're there, and you just have like a normal work day, right? Like you have your free time, you have your off time. Like it's like, I don't want to say 9 to 5. I'm sure there are some days where it's shorter than that, longer than that. I mean, that's just the job that we're in. But for the most part, like, I mean, it's just a normal job, right?
It is, yeah. And for a lot of different ratings, for most of the ratings out here, there's a lot of master at arms out here, security forces, IT, cryptological technicians. There's a handful of AOs out here, including the weapon station folks, which they got a decent amount of people. But this is considered sea duty for a lot of people, even though we're on shore, because we're forward based.
Yeah.
And there is travel involved in this job too. I actually just got back from Dubai a few weeks ago. I was over there. I went to another base. I went to Dubai and I went to Fujairah, UAE, which is right on the western tip of where the UAE meets Oman. So I was a few weeks back, so got to do a little bit of traveling over there. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Dubai is insane. I mean, that place is that you want to buy a custom suit there. If you ride a bike, you get your leather jackets over there, and gold jewelry is like, those three things are the big, like, hey, you're gonna get some good quality stuff pretty cheap, or cheaper, because it's a pretty expensive place. I'm gonna pull up these pictures, like, just some of the stuff with Bahrain. It is Western, and like I feel like in this area, everybody has heard of Dubai, but like Bahrain, same thing, like becoming very westernized. You can see these really pretty buildings, high-rise buildings, hotels. What would you say to anybody about Bahrain? Like, what's the coolest stuff you've seen? You've been there a few times, but like, what kind of took you aback the first time you saw it, as far as, like, wow, that's just like really cool and not what I would expect in Bahrain. Stupid light.
Well, when you see a lot of that, like that picture you have right there with that building with the two kind of triangles. So that building's pretty unique. So that's actually a World Trade Center.
There's a wind turbine. Is this the building that has the wind turbines on this too?
That powers the building, those wind turbines.
Yeah, you can't really see it too well, but I know I've seen it in close-up pictures. These three, I think all three of those, there are actual like wind turbines for, wind power that powers that building. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, and after you're over here or you've been to the Middle East, several times, the buildings are, they're very impressive, but there's just so many of them, and the architecture over here is just through the roof crazy. So after you see buildings, they're not as impressive as they were. I would say, I don't want to use the wrong term because they are impressive, but like once you've seen
you're used to it,
like you're just so used to it, you're like, man, that's an awesome building. It's but there's a lot of stuff to do over here. If you're into Formula One racing, there's a Grand Prix track down near the south central part of the island. Actually, the Formula One race, the first race of the Formula One circuit is here in Bahrain, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think another thing, you were talking about the culture shock. Obviously, the primary religion over there, they have prayer time. There's certain things during the certain times of day that you don't do. What do you think the biggest culture shock for you was? Yes, you've had the opportunity to be there a couple times, but what would be like the for anybody who's never been there, what would be kind of like the real big culture shock?
Well, the people over here are generally very friendly. You don't want to walk around town. You don't want to be throwing swear words out there or flipping people off like they do in America. That'll get you in trouble over here. You don't want to spit on the sidewalks and stuff. That's kind of frowned upon. They're pretty lenient over here for the most part, but you don't want to get caught disrespecting somebody over here.
Yeah,
but
they're
like I said,
actually really big on I don't think people realize that, but they're actually really big on just like being respectful.
These very, very respectful, decent people.
Mm-hmm. What's so food wise, right? Let's talk about that because everybody likes food. What do you think is your favorite local cuisine? Like that is more, hey, that area.
Yeah. So it's a melting pot really when it comes to food. I don't think I really have any particular one I like more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have Asian cuisine, you have Iraqi, Iranian cuisine, Indian cuisine, American, but I've come to really like falafel. I don't know if you've ever had it or not.
Yeah.
It's really good over here. It's kind of almost kind of looks like a hush puppy, I guess.
Yep.
They're just really good. So if you've never had it, you need to try it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I had it when I was over there. Yeah, like my thing was like I think when we were in Bahrain, some guys wanted to go out to like TGI Fridays. I'm like, what? Why? Like we pull into different ports. They're like, oh, they got a McDonald's like down the street. I'm like, why? Like I don't know.
McDonald's here, like I haven't.
But it's different because you're there, right? Like when I'm pulling in a ship and I'm just visiting for a couple days. Like I want to try what's local, I want to see, and I think when we were over there, I don't remember which Navy it was. We had some officers come on our ship, and they had brought like, oh man, like when you're over there and you get like fresh, like baklava, like oh my gosh, like it's so good. And they also brought on our ship, they brought us like the kind of gummy candy, that has like the powdered sugar on the outside. It's like real sticky. I can't think of what it's called. It's so no, those were never mind. That wasn't there. That was turkey. It's like the Turkish candy. This is really good. But baklava over there is really good too. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's just a really cool place. I mean, you have the souks, which are basically areas with tons of different stores.
Kind of like an outdoor mall marketplace when you say souk, right?
Exactly. I mean, everything from clothing, textiles to spices and coffee beans to pashmina wool blankets, stuff like that. Which I bought my wife some. I got to get them in the mail, or she's gonna kill me if I don't get them in the mail to her soon. But just all kinds of stuff and very, very reasonably priced. A lot of the handmade rugs and the blankets, those are all hand. I mean, they don't have, the folks that are making these don't have high tech equipment making these. A lot of the stuff's done by hand, carved from wood. They take a lot of pride in their craft.
Now, what about the, we talk about the modern architecture, but what about like, if you can kind of see this picture, but like the big mosques and like kind of the older architecture. I know like when I was there were a few, things that we got to see that was like, wow, like, that's cool. Like, you look at this picture and you see this archway and you can tell that this is obviously like, a building that's not in use anymore, but the fact that it has this kind of that arch in that way, the architecture over there is really, I mean, it was amazing back then. It's not something that we see here.
Yeah, like an example, the Grand Mosque. I mean, there's several mosques here on the island. The Grand Mosque, not too far from the base here. I actually went and took a tour of that.
Is that this one here that I'm showing? I think.
Is that like a rendering? Like a?
No, that's a picture.
Get a picture. It's kind of I really can't tell, but yeah, actually that is it, I believe.
The Grand Mosque, and it's because the Grand
Yeah,
Mosque is like the biggest one on the island, right? And it's massive.
now, yeah, they're building another one. They're building a mosque like on almost like a little peninsula, like an artificial peninsula. They're building, and it's going to be pretty large. Yeah, just the craftsmanship and the amount of marble that they use when they construct, like everything's constructed out of stone and marble and granite. It's really impressive. But one of the interesting things about the architecture out here, a lot of things that are, when built in the, things that are built in the States, say a building, it has 7 archways because the 7 arches are symbolic for something.
Right.
Well, here in Islam, they don't construct things that are symbolic like that. Like they have a rotunda in the mosque. It has X amount of windows, but that number of windows doesn't mean anything significantly. That's just the number that they built it with. You know what I mean? They
Right.
don't tie numbers or certain symbols to other things, like especially religion. So I thought that was really interesting. It's just not something they do over here.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you're saying, there's a ton to do there, so you're really, when you're serving overseas, I mean, you get the opportunity to live in this culture. Right. You're not, we try to when we're on a ship, but it's very quick, where you get the opportunity to really like see this culture and see these people and really, become enveloped in it. And I would encourage anybody, if you get an opportunity, like if you can, it's kind of hard when we get a little older, we have kids and families, but especially if you're a young sailor and you get an opportunity to serve overseas, like what other job is going to pay you to move overseas and get to live in another culture? And then if you're somebody who is serving overseas, get off the base, go see this culture. You may never have a chance again. So again, we're here on episode 79 with AOC Snyder. We're talking about overseas. He's serving in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Make sure you drop a comment down below or a question. We'll make sure to get an answer. If you have any questions for Chief Snyder or myself or about Bahrain or serving overseas, he'd be more than happy to answer them. We're going to go like maybe a minute longer here, and then we got to get into our bonus content because, I mean, it's getting a little past your bedtime.
Oh, I'm good. One thing I did forget to mention was for Bahrain is very small, but to give you a size comparison in relation to Indiana, if you were to take the island of Bahrain and say put it over Indianapolis, it would stretch roughly from Westfield to Greenwood.
That's it?
That's it.
I mean, that's even smaller than I thought.
North to south, east to west, you're looking probably around Speedway to say over by MEPS.
Wow.
Lawrence, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lawrence. Yeah.
Lawrence.
That's even smaller than I even thought. And I mean, it's there's still all that stuff there. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? Like that's insane.
There's almost there's about 1,400,000 people on this island.
Yeah. Now, do you see that as Slattery just said, yes, being stationed overseas is where it's at. I would encourage anybody to go back. I just listened to our episode on the audio part of it where we were talking about when you were stationed in Rota, Spain. Definitely check that episode out. It was a great conversation. But you're saying that there's that many people in that small area. Do you notice that? Like, a Master Chief I used to work with said when he served in Japan, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He would encourage anybody. He had his family there. He said, but over there, it's so packed that the culture is really good, but they don't really have personal space isn't a thing over there. Do you notice that in Bahrain with it being so small, or is it, how's that?
Well, the thing is the city area, there's different parts of the city. Like the base here where I'm living is the capital is Manama, but there's different parts to the city. You have Rifa, you have Sif, you have Marak, You have the Amwaj Islands and stuff. But once you start getting down to the central, I'd say more to the southern part of the island, like there's parts where it's like almost like desert.
Like,
you know what I mean? Nothing constructed out there. So there's still plenty of space. The reason they're able to get so many people in a small area is because of all the high-rise buildings.
Yeah.
Like my building's 48 stories tall. I live on the 26th floor. So you can house a lot of people in this building.
Wow.
And that's how they do the city. I mean, these buildings are very close together. It's like a concrete jungle, really.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, but there's still, you know, like you said, so you still have these rural areas. You still have areas with nothing. You still have, it's not, like I've definitely been places where it's, you know, where you could say concrete jungle, where it's like stacked on top of stacked on top of stacked. But I would say that Bahrain is still has very beautiful areas. It's not like industrial or like, you know, slammed together almost. It's done very well. Like they, you know, like you said, the architecture over there, they got it figured out. Like it's crazy, the stuff that they do.
Yeah, when it comes to building skyscrapers, they definitely have it figured out for sure.
Now I know that you weren't too concerned about where you live and stuff, you know, not to obviously, because like what matters to you, your family and stuff is back here. So I know that you went, you know, hey, I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. But if you don't mind me asking, like what type of apartment did you end up with, or what is it like? How is the sizing of housing over there comparatively to what we would think in the U.S.? Because you're not on base. Like this is
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have like a loft apartment, like a flat, if you want to call it. I mean, I could have got a 3-bedroom.
Sure.
I didn't need a bedroom, so my upstairs is a loft. It has my bedroom, full bathroom. You come down the stairs. I have a full kitchen, dining room, and then my little living room area. And I have a little balcony. I've got, you know, a 20-foot glass window over here that stretches. You know, I got a view of the ocean right there, so it's pretty cool.
And that's and like you said, you could have went bigger. You could have had like a 3-bedroom. It's not. I think sometimes when people think of over there, they think of like the 1-bedroom shack, like that with a whole family in it. That's not this area. Like these are you know, this culture, these people, they're I don't want to say like well off, but like it's, you know, they're living normal, like what we would see. It's just there's some cultural difference. So yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
The currency's very high over here. It's one of the top currencies in the world under Kuwait. I mean, so to put it in perspective, $1 American, so it takes $2.65 to get one of their dollars. So,
but how is it? So like I remember, and it changed all the time. So like when we pulled into Israel, like one of our dollars was worth 8 of theirs, but if like this pin was $1 American, it would be 8 in Israel. And then like when I was in Romania, $1 was worth 4 lei, but if this was $1 American, it'd only be 1 Romanian lei. Like how is it? Is it comparable, or is it actually a little bit more expensive over there?
It's definitely more expensive. I mean, it's kind of relative, but like I said, if I want like, I'm gonna come up with an example.
Your wife said it's huge. I think she's talking about your window.
What, the window's huge?
I think so. She said it's huge. Probably your apartment. I think she's talking about your apartment in general, like for it being just like a loft 1-bedroom apartment.
I wouldn't say it's huge, but I mean, it suits me fine. I'm a simple guy. I don't need anything super crazy, but yeah, I mean, as far as the money, yeah, $2.65 American will give you 1 of their Bahraini dinars. So.
Yeah, dinar. That's what it is. I couldn't remember what it's called. Dinar. Yeah, that's right. Because Bahrain has their own. It's not because like a lot of the UAE has their.
Eastern countries have their own currency. Like you have Kuwaiti dinar. Saudi Arabia has what they call rial.
Yeah.
Omani. You know, Oman has dinar. Everybody's got their own currency, and a lot of the what they call it, the Gulf Coast Council. A lot of the countries like UAE uses dirhams, and a lot of the countries here on the Gulf Coast will actually, you know, you can use the currency at each places. They'll kind of adjust the currency rate, and you'd be like, "Will you take real?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, yeah."
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
It might get stiffed a little. Got to make sure you know what the exchange rate is, but
Well, I will tell anybody who's watching, I stay in contact with Chief Snyder. If you watch this later, you listen to this later, if you have questions specifically for him or just about overseas or anything, don't hesitate. Drop those comments down below. We see him afterwards too. Of course, it's best to interact live. You can derail us. We're pretty good at doing that all by ourselves. But make sure you smash that like button, subscribe so you see the new episodes come out. They're live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, sometimes you can't do that. So definitely check us out. We're on YouTube, Twitch, obviously here on Facebook live, and then you can watch them after the fact. And I'm getting caught up on the audio portion of it too. So if you just want to listen, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're on episode 79. I believe I'm up to 61 on the audio. So I should get caught up here soon. And your wife did say she meant the apartment for what it is. I think she's saying it's pretty big for what you would think. So that's awesome. So serving in the Kingdom of Bahrain, a lot of great information about Bahrain and what that transition looked like. I know you said probably the hardest part for you is it isn't the job. It's not the being overseas. I think we're kind of conditioned for that. And a lot of us, when we join the Navy, that's, we want to travel. I think for you, and as we get a little bit older, we have a family, it's that your family's not there. I know how close you are with your kids and your wife and not having them there. So I know that's kind of tough for you, but like you said, the technology, being able to see, it's not the same as being able to hug your kids and your wife, but,
right.
Actually being able to talk to them and see them, it's great. I can't imagine doing it, 20 years ago. So, but I know your kids are watching and your wife and your families are watching. So give them another shout out before we move into bonus content, man. Did you hear me? Uh-oh. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
I'm sorry. We might have cut out there a little bit. I said before we move into bonus content, I know you're missing your kids and your family's watching. Go ahead and give them one last shout out and, let them know that you're there and we'll move on.
Hey, kids, Dad loves you.
Absolutely. So, and your wife.
What's that?
And your wife.
Of course, she knows that.
Yeah.
Love you too, babe.
Owen Klinger just said, go Uncle Jay. So
my nephew.
Yeah, so another family member, man. A lot of people showing up for you. All right, so this is where we end the episode. We're going into bonus content. I've kind of told you what we're doing for bonus content. I'm going to tell everybody that you should stick around. This is going to be really fun. We're going to give AOC Snyder the chance to win a little bit of money for his favorite charity, which we're going to talk about. So bonus content starts in 3, 2, 1. Bonus content. It's not the same when you do it yourself. I keep saying that, but I got to keep doing it. So bonus content, we're going to let you play a little game for charity. Okay. I asked you, hey, what's your favorite charity? And you had said that you really like St. Jude. So I'm going to pull that up. They should be able to see that right now, but tell us a little bit. Why is St. Jude your favorite charity? Why did you go with St. Jude? Just brief.
Well, I had a good friend of mine when I was in high school. His brother actually contracted a type of lymphoma, and he was pretty bad off. And his family actually went down there to St. Jude's, and they ended up. Long story short, lots of treatments and stuff like that, but they ended up saving his brother's life. So every year, we do the combined federal campaign.
Yep.
I always throw St. Jude. I always give them a donation every year. To help out. That hospital does not charge families, that are unable to pay.
Yeah.
The treatment. Hospitals ran 100% off of donations. I know my mom donated to them for many years. I'm not sure if she still does. She might, but it's just a really, really great thing.
Your donation can help give families life-saving care and treatment to their child, the comforts of home, meals, lodging, and move, toys and games, so that the patients can feel like kids. So it's located in Memphis, Tennessee. You can go to their website. You can donate. They also have shirts you can buy, and the proceeds 100% go back into the hospital. So we're going to play a little game for St. Jude's. They're not going to see you. They're only going to see the game, but you'll be able to see the game. And I'm going to pull up a little music that you won't hear, but everybody else will. They've heard this before, so it's okay. All right, so here's what you're doing today. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up for you. Oh, and I fixed it. So for those of you who see me do this before, it's completely different. I made it on Google Slides, so it's not going to mess up. So you're going to be playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Nice.
You can see that okay?
I can.
Perfect. I'm going to take myself off the screen. Everybody will still be able to hear me, which that's fine, but we already tested all this. So Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? $100 edition, because I'm not that well off. We're going to give you an opportunity to win $100 for your charity donated by Behind the Helm. And we're playing a special. So you were born when? 86?
87.
I was born 86. You know, I like to consider myself an 80s kid, but you know, we weren't really. We're definitely 90s kids. Would you agree to that?
I would definitely agree to that.
So it is the 90s edition of Behind the Helm, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So here's what we got. You do have 3 lifelines, all right? You can't see the comments, but the comments will be the audience, or I also have separate, I can pull up an audience thing. You have phone a friend, phone a friend, ask the audience, and 50-50, okay? So you can see here, you're playing for $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, $60, $75, $90, $100, and $110. 10 questions with a bonus question for an extra $10. Everything that's blue, those are your stopping points. Those are your automatic, hey, if you miss the next one, this is what you're going to get for your charity, okay? All right.
Okay, got it.
So here we go. Your first question. What snack, this is all 90s, what snack was the most effective for applying to your fingers and creating which fingernails? Warheads, fruit roll-ups, bugles, or Dunkaroos?
C, Bugles, final answer.
C, Bugles, final answer. Yes, sir, you are correct. For $1 to your charity, Bugles, still do that. Get the witch fingers going. I love showing, like, when I showed my son, he thought it was hilarious. Right? Moving on to the $2 question. It is often regarded as one of the best video games of its generation. What gaming platform did GoldenEye 007 debut on? The Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, Sony PlayStation, or the Atari Jaguar?
Ooh, that would be B, Nintendo 64.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You are absolutely correct. Nintendo 64 and GoldenEye 007 spent a lot of time playing that one in the 90s. I can tell you that on 64. That's $2 to your charity. Moving on to your next pause, your first stopping point. All right, because right now, if you miss this, get nothing. All right, next question. Who played Kevin McAllister in the blockbuster film Home Alone? Edward Furlong, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Elijah Wood, or Macaulay Culkin?
D, Macaulay Culkin, final answer.
For $5. And your first stopping point, Macaulay Culkin. That is correct. Good job. You've earned $5, and you are at a safe point. Anything missed right now, you'll come back down to $5. All right, you ready for your next one?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
The hot spot in the video or in the audio, so I got to let it play. All right, your next question. In the 1990s, which wide-leg jeans became a fashion favorite for kids? A, Jinko, B, Tommy Hilfiger, C, True Religion, or D, Levi's?
A, Jinko, final answer.
Jinkos for $10. You are correct. You're going to carry around 50 pounds of jeans. You see somebody in Jinkos, just chase them. There's no way they're getting away from you. All right, moving on to the next one for $20. In the 90s, what function was added to the portable CD players that enabled listeners to enjoy their music without missing a beat? Auto tracking, skip protection, true jogging, or a special belt clip?
I'm gonna go with B, skip protection. Final answer.
Did you have a portable CD player?
Did.
What was the time on there for yours? Remember they started coming
like
out with the times?
Skip or something. Something like that. 30, 40.
Skip protection is absolutely right for $20. I think the best one I ever had, the first one was like, I don't know, 15, and the last one I had was like 45-second skip protection. You take it and you like shake it in front of somebody, like, oh look, ha ha, ha, and it would still skip. That's all right.
The word.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question. This next one's going to be for $50. It's your next stopping point. You're halfway there. Okay. This is for St. Jude's. Next question is coming in just a minute. We're about to have that hot spot right there in the audio as we show it. I don't remember. What would a 90s game show be? Without a question. About boy bands. Have to have a boy band question. Howie, AJ, Nick, Brian, and Kevin comprised what boy band formed in 1993? A, New Kids on the Block, B, O-Town, C, Backstreet Boys, or D, NSYNC?
That would be a C, Backstreet Boys. Final answer.
You're saving these lifelines. You're very confident in that. I feel like were you one of those guys that secretly listened to all of the boy bands?
No.
Didn't sound so sure of yourself. C, Backstreet Boys. Final answer for $50 and your next stopping point. You are absolutely correct. Howie, AJ, Nick, Brian, and Kevin were Backstreet Boys. Most people get confused with NSYNC, which I forget all their names, but that's where Justin Timberlake was with NSYNC. So, moving on to the $60 question. You're safe at 50.
Yeah.
What reality television program is known to be the first? A, Big Brother, B, Road Rules, C, The Real World, or D, Survivor?
Oh, you said there was a 50-50?
You have a 50-50, a Phone a Friend, and an Ask the Audience.
It's between C, The Real World, and B, Road Rules. I just can't remember which one.
You can use the 50-50 if you'd like.
I think it's going to put me in the same predicament because I have a feeling. Let's go ahead and use the 50-50, but I'm pretty sure those would probably be the two left.
All right, 50-50. I'm telling you that it wasn't. I had wrote down for each one if you did a 50-50. That way I couldn't change it. And the 50-50 for this question left Big Brother and The Real World. A and C.
I'm going to go with C, The Real World. Final answer.
For $60, if you miss this, still get 50 for your charity. Did a 50-50 for Big Brother or The Real World. You were undecided between The Real World and Road Rules. Let's see. Is it C, The Real World? What reality TV program is known to be the first? You are correct. The Real World is considered to be the first reality TV show. That gets you $60 and moves you on to your $75 question. I see you out there, sir. Old officer of mine is in the chat right now. But we are playing for charity for St. Jude's. We got $60. On to the next stop, 75, which is your stopping point. Another save point. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. What dance craze was popularized by Los Del Mar in the 90s? The Macarena, the Running Man, the Electric Slide, or Kid and Play? The best part about dance crazes, at any time, most of the time, people know the name of the dance and never know who.
What do I have? What do I have to ask the audience?
You have an Ask the Audience, and I will tell you, this is a 75 save question, right? And I will guarantee you that the next two to get to 100, they're tough. It's going to get harder. But you have an Ask the Audience and a Phone a Friend. And the question is, what dance craze was popularized by Los Del Mar in the 90s? Macarena, The Running Man, Electric Slide, or Kid and Play?
I'm going to ask the audience.
All right. I have a Ask the Audience poll that comes up, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. If anybody in the comments wants to say what it was, dance craze popularized by Los Del Mar in the 90s, was it Macarena, The Running Man, Electric Slide, Kid and Play? And there are some people in the audience answering, and I will tell you what it does is it gives me a percentage. And right now, 52% say Macarena. There is, it looks like 35% for Kid and Play. Running Man and Electric Slide are much smaller. And I will tell you the people saying it in the comments, whether they've looked it up or not, are saying the Macarena as well.
I was thinking the Macarena, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with a Macarena final answer.
A Macarena final answer. And there he is. Jake Fields just is in here and just said hello from Japan. Wow. Nice to see you, Fields. A Macarena for $75. Your next stopping point, $75 for St. Jude's. If you miss it, they still get $50. Let's see. It is the Macarena. You are correct. That is one I really thought that you would get when I wrote it, but I know that a lot of people forget that it's Los Del Mar. Most people don't know that. So good job.
I was putting that in the Electric Slide, but more so towards Macarena, so...
I couldn't tell you who originally did the Electric Slide either. I'd have to I just look it up by Electric Slide. So let's move on to your $90 question. You got two more questions. Last one is a bonus one. You make it to 100, they get 100. Period. You don't have to get the bonus one, but I'll throw in an extra 10. So here's your $90 question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What year did Princess Diana perish in a Paris traffic crash? 1995, 1996, 1997, or 1998?
1997 C, final answer.
Ooh, you were quick on that. I thought this one was going to be tough. You're confident on that.
Pretty confident, yeah.
Wow. Do you remember it?
I do a little bit, yeah.
My wife loves watching stuff about Princess Di and that stuff. So, C, final answer, 1997. What year did Princess Diana perish in a Paris traffic crash? For $90 to your charity, you are correct. 1997 is when that tragedy happened. There's a lot of controversy around all kinds of stuff. We're not going to get into that, but that is the year. It was a big thing in the 90s. You know, it was a major thing, just like when Queen Elizabeth just died. Even though it doesn't have to do with us, it's a big deal. Field said it's 7:30 a.m. on Friday for him, so happy he could make it. It's awesome. All right. Whew, you ready for that? The last one's tough. You ready for that last $100 question?
Do it.
Let me ask you, when you were in high school, when you were a younger kid, did you read books?
Probably not as much as I should.
Were there any specific series that you read kind of as a preteen or a teen?
I mean, as a preteen, I mean, I really liked, I really got into like the R.L. Stein books,
You know what? That may help you, because here's your $100 question. What is the title of the first installment of R.L. Stein's Goosebumps series? A, Stay Out of the Basement. B, Monster Blood. C, Say Cheese and Die. And D, Welcome to Dead House. And you have one lifeline. You have phone a friend, right? And I will tell you that it's funny that you said Goosebumps, because when I saw this question, I'm like, man, I read a bunch of those. I don't know if I would really off the bat know the very first one that came out, though. And I double-checked it multiple places.
I want to say it's Monster Blood.
But here's the cool thing, right? This is the last question. If you miss it, your charity gets $75, right? Very last question. You still have a lifeline. There's no penalty for using lifeline. So if you want to think it out, that's fine. I would offer that you call somebody maybe And I can make that call for you. Obviously, that might be hard for you to do. I don't,
I'm pretty sure it's Monster Blood. I guess I'll call my wife. She might know.
Okay. Do you have a way to call her, or should I call her? Because you're on Zoom, I don't know.
Is she still on?
I'm not sure. Melissa, if you're still out there, I know Slattery is. She's yelling at you. Phone a friend, dang it. Because obviously you still have a lifeline.
Well, Slattery's on, then.
Slattery, you're his. I think you're saying let Slattery be your phone a friend.
Yeah.
All right.
She's on there.
Slattery is in our age group too. So she probably read a few of these. Put that art degree to work. Slattery, you're the phone a friend. What is the title of the first installment of the R.L. Stine's Goosebumps series? Stay Out of the Basement, Say Cheese and Die, Monster Blood, or Welcome to Dead House. And Chief Snyder's counting on you. St. Jude's counting on you. Oh, she said, oh no, that's not what I meant. It's for charity. I'm telling you that you're probably watching it on something that you could probably find out.
It's one of the bottom two. It's Monster Blood. I'm pretty sure it's Monster Blood. Welcome to Dead House. That was one of them.
All right, Slattery, you gonna help him out? Oh, your wife's here too. We can do it twice. Melissa, he's struggling on the $100 question. What is the title of the Goosebump installment? First installment of the Goosebump series. He's stuck between Monster's Blood and Welcome to Dead House. The other two are Stay Out of the Basement and Say Cheese.
I'm almost positive it's Monster Blood.
Well, I will tell you that Susan Smith said Welcome to Dead House. Slattery said Dead House with a question mark. She's also telling your wife, Melissa, help, as your wife is saying, hang on. So you got a couple for Dead House. And if you want to wait for your wife's answer, since she was your original phone a friend, we will see what she says. But, yep, Susan Smith just again said it's Welcome to Dead House. And my mom also said it's Welcome to Dead House, so up to you.
Welcome to Dead House. Let's do it. D, final answer.
If he misses it, St. Jude still gets $75, but this is for $100. D, Welcome to Dead House. You are correct. That was the first book of the R.L. Stine's Goosebumps series, Welcome to Dead House. I believe it came out in 93 when I looked it up. So, yeah, absolutely, man. I read a bunch of those, but there's a ton and a bunch of spin-off series. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to win an extra $10. Your charity's getting $100. We're sending $100 to St. Jude. I'm going to give you a chance to get an extra $110 or an extra $10 with a bonus question for your charity. It was 92, Slattery said. So are you ready for your bonus question?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's a tough one. Let's see if you can get it.
No lifeline.
No lifelines. Nope. What is the number one military podcast in Indiana? Is it E-Talent, Behind the Helm, In the Box, or E14, The Sailor's Voice?
Behind the Helm, the final answer.
This is for a bonus $10 to your charity. You're playing. You came on. It's late at night. I appreciate you being here with us. Playing for charity. You're playing for St. Jude Children's Hospital down in Tennessee. They do amazing things. It's all paid for. It's all through donation. And you said number one military podcast in all of Indiana who will be making this donation is B, Behind the Helm. Let's see. You're absolutely right. Chief Snyder winning $110 for his charity, St. Jude. Thanks for playing. Oh, wait, there was one more slide. I was supposed to show hey, congratulations, you win. And then I put the 110 over the million there. because that's what I got. But yeah, man, absolutely. We will make that donation $110 to St. Jude. We're going to, it's not a lot, but hey, you know what?
Hey.
Anybody can sponsor me, I guess. Still, my inbox is open. All right. But no, seriously, we do this for the knowledge and for the fun and the charity. I just want to do something different for the bonus content. And I thought it'd be really fun to go down 90s memory lane with you. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, Stephanie said, Slattery said, good Lord, that was stressful. So imagine the people playing for like $1 million, so, I'm not going to put it out to everybody or anything like that, but, Petty Officer Levesque might get the opportunity he's out in California, he might get the opportunity to be on The Price is Right. He might get to go. So,
wow.
Yeah. So he said if he is, and if something happens and he gets to go up there, he's going to shout out behind the helm like, oh, bro, that'd be great. But brother, it was so good seeing you again. I know a lot of people said that came on from the command said they miss you and we miss having you around, and I'm so glad that we're still able to talk, and I know your family's missing you, and big turnout from your family to come and see you talk. Just another chance to see your face, and I'll let you go and maybe drink some adult beverages since it's your weekend now. Get you some sleep.
Yeah.
So
it is Friday now. It's my day off. So
there you go.
Thanks for
man.
Look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you everybody who came in and watched. If you stuck around for the bonus content, look, next week, Thursday, I'm not sure what's happening yet, but I got a couple other guests that might be coming on. We're going to talk about something different, but we were talking about overseas and serving overseas in Bahrain, and make sure you go back and listen if you came in later, because this will always be up there. And your wife said that she will see you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Chief Snyder, thank you so much for being here. And, hey, man, keep on making that money there, Freedom Fighter.
Yeah, man. Stay in touch, Freedom Fighter.
All right, everybody. See you later. Have a good week.
All right. Have a good one.